Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a deal or no deal on something I haven't seen other YouTubers really talk about. It's the Illuminate line from Tisdale. I bought a bunch of her makeup and I'm going to be, well, I did test it out for about a month, and so I'm going to do my final thoughts on everything and tell you guys what was really awesome and stuff that I didn't like so much. So let's get into it. So I bought the brush set that she has, and I did like a lot of them, and obviously I have used them a bunch. So I'm going to tell you my more favorite brushes and the ones that I didn't really care for and really didn't use that much. Alright, so there are 4 face brushes and 4 eye brushes. I'm going to be going over these and then I will go into the eyes. The first one is a stippling brush that I used for the cream blush to apply, and this did a pretty nice job of blending it out. I don't like using this kind of brush for foundation, but for liquids such as the blush or maybe a bronzer like a cream, this did really well. So I did like this brush for that specific use. The second is just a powder brush, which is really soft and it has a bunch of bristles in it. It didn't really feel though as if it was really setting my face. I would have to use a little bit more powder than I'm used to. Maybe the brush, since it is so big, ate some of it. But overall it's really soft and it is really nice. Once it gets actually a little bit more dirty with the actual powder in it, it does apply better than when it first came out of the package. Okay, so the next one is actually this angled brush. I used it to blend out my contour and just kind of do that. It worked pretty well and it blended out really nice. I could not really find a use for this one. I only used it once to do highlight and it didn't work that well. My usual highlight brush is actually this one that I found on Wish for, it was free, just pay shipping kind of thing, so it was like $1. And I do like this one a lot more. I actually just couldn't find something to use this for because I used this one for the cream blush. Maybe for a powder brush, like a powder blush, this would work. But I do like my powder blush brushes to be big and fluffy instead of the smaller, so I didn't really find a use for this one. Maybe someone else could, but I just didn't really use this brush. Okay, the next 4 are the eye brushes. I really like this fluffy one for blending out the darker shade, not the lighter shade, just because it is too concentrated, and so it wouldn't blend it out nicely over the whole, like a transition shade. It wouldn't blend it out as nicely as that. This is more for the dark condensed colors to get right into the crease, and I enjoyed it for that use. The next brush is this little angled brush. It's really tiny and thin. I really like this. I was trying to find a angled brush forever that didn't have so many bristles and was super fat. Like, let me show you one of my other ones. Like, so this one has like a bunch of bristles and it's really fat. And you can see this one next to it is super thin. All the angled brushes that I found look just like this one, even the ones that I used to have. Even the Wet n Wild, which is the closest in thickness, is still not as thin as this one. And this one just works amazing, and I do like it a lot. The next eye brush is actually this small rounded one. I like this for going under the eye, right here on the lower lash line. It blends it out pretty nicely. I do like to set it down first with this angled brush and pat that powder on, and then blend it out with this one, because this just gets everywhere if you just go straight in with this. But if you put the product down first and then blend it out, it works really nice. Okay, and we're on to kind of the same problem. I couldn't really find a use for this one. It was too fluffy to actually put any eyeshadow on the lid, and the only thing I really found it good for was kind of blending the two together, but I'm not going to have a single eye brush to blend 2 shades together. So overall, this one and the more fluffy kind of one, these 2 I didn't really like, so I like 6 out of the 8, but these 2 I just couldn't find a good enough reason to use them, so I didn't like these. There isn't anything wrong with the 2 brushes. They are really fluffy and they're super soft and they do work great. They blend out shadows really nicely. I just don't use them in my personal routine, but I feel like a lot of people could get a use out of them. Alright, up next we are going to be talking about what is on my eyes. So I bought the palette in Goddess, and I really like this one a lot more than the other ones because of the purple and the dark gray brown shades. It did have some of the gold, but so it's kind of like a cool and warm tone palette kind of mixed in between. But there are a bunch of shimmers, if you can kind of tell, but there isn't too much fallout with it. I've been using it a lot, but the only matte shades in here is this middle brown one, and this red one has a tiny bit of glitter, but it doesn't transfer onto the lid. It's pretty matte, so those two are the only matte shades. So to do a complete look, either you have to do what I did and just use the shimmers in the crease, and it looks perfectly fine, it looks really nice, or you have to go in with another palette, like any other nude palette, if you want to get more of the transition shades with the browns, because there is nothing to blend out these two in the palette. So you would have to get something else. Okay, so the first shade is Kim H, and that's what I'm wearing on my eyelids today. It gives out a lot of color, and it's very bright and sparkly. I really like this one. The next one is the bright purple, which is called Nat, and that one is also really good. It blends out really nicely. The next one is Kirsten. This one is a little bit more of a struggle to blend out, but it does end up blending out in the end, and it does look really nice on the lid as a crease color, or you could use it to pat on the lid. The next one is Lele, and this one is actually super kind of glittery and chunky. I did not really like this one. Even on the lid itself, it's still kind of really chunky, and it just didn't give off the amount of shimmer that I did want in the eyeshadow. The next three up is called Nessa, and this one is really shiny, and also if you use it with MAC Fix Plus, it does work really well. If you don't, it's kind of like the Lele shade. It's kind of glittery and chunky, but if you use it with MAC Fix Plus, it works really well. For some reason with the Lele shade, when you use MAC Fix Plus, it just does not work, and it doesn't want to stay. The next shade is Sammy, and this red burnt kind of burnt color is really nice. It gives kind of an orangey tint when you put them on. And then the next shade is Priscilla, which is the dark brown. This one's a little bit harder to blend out as well, but in the end it does end up blending out, so it does still look nice. It just takes a little bit of work. Alright, the next shade is Shell, which is the gold shade. I actually really don't like this color. It's really flaky in the pan when you try to pick it up with your brush, and even when you put it on your eye, it still has a lot of fallout. It works kind of okay with the Max Fix Plus, but it just doesn't do as well as I expected. I have golds that are better, so I just kind of don't really use that shade at all once I tried it for the first time. Okay, so the next color is Sheena, and this one just doesn't give off a lot of color pigment. It looks kind of like a purpley pink on the lid, but it's definitely not like a bam in your face kind of color. It's definitely for those more natural days, but I do like the formula of it. Alright, up next is Gen K, which is actually one of my favorite shades in the palette. It's like a purpley blue, and it just looks really, really nice and intense on the lid. It does work 10 times better with Max Fix Plus, as all of these shades will do, because most of them are shimmers, but this shade on its own is amazing, and I just like everything about it. Up next is Tanya, and this is the black shade. I don't really care much for this black. It has shimmer in it, which is not my favorite, and it just doesn't blend out as nicely as I would like it, so after trying it for a couple times I just stopped using it because it just didn't work how I wanted it to. And finally is Kyla. This one is the same as Lele. It's really chunky, it does not want to really do much, and I just don't really care much for that shade either. So overall, I love how these eyeshadows wear. I've had this on since like 7 in the morning, and there isn't any creasing, and it just looks exactly how I did when I first put it on, and it's still vibrant and beautiful. But overall, this palette's really cheap, and I do actually like it. I think it's worth your money. So the eyeshadow palettes run $12.99. There are 3 different kinds. So the first kind is obviously the Goddess palette that I got. The second kind is called the Night Goddess, which is more of like, they're actually more nudie, but there are some darker blacks and browns. And then the third one is actually all like browns and oranges and reds, and that is called the Beach Goddess. And you can kind of tell it's just all golds, and it looks like there's actually a blush in there, so if that floats your boat, then go get those. It's kind of a different price for each, so the one that I got is actually a bit more expensive, but I do like these shades better. And each palette just has like a little bit of a price difference. I actually don't know why. It could be that some of them have a blush. I don't know. I don't make these, but it's kind of weird that the palettes are all kind of different even though they have the same amount of color in them. Alright, so let's move on to something that I actually really like, and it's what I'm wearing right now. Again, it's the liquid lipstick that she came out with, and I actually made my order, and then the next day she announced that she had a liquid lipstick online, and so I had to just separately order that one. So there are 3 different shades. There is, and I'll also put them up on the screen. So the shades are London, Miami, and the one that I got, which is in Milan. And it does really nicely. It's like completely dry. There's nothing coming off, and it lasts all day. I do like that, like this formula of liquid lipstick. If she comes out with more colors, I'll probably buy them. I might buy the red, but I definitely don't want London. It's just way too pink. These liquid lipsticks run for $6.99, so they are more on the average end, more drugstore. The next product I absolutely hated, and it was the lip gloss. I will have like a little clip of me applying it, but this was awful. Like, it did not go on nicely, and it does have like one side that doesn't have any like little brushes and the other side does. I do like that. I think it's easy to use that plastic side and put the product on and then rub it out with the felt side. I think that's really cool. I do like that. That's also on the liquid lipstick, but this gloss just like got into all the lines in my lips, and my lips weren't even dry, and it just looked really bad overall. I would not even wear it like out. I put it on and I did not want to ever wear it out. I didn't really get to test the actual formula because it looks so bad on my lips that I would just not recommend this at all. I would maybe try a different shade that maybe had some shimmer in it. Maybe that would be better, but this shade at least that I got is in Skinny Dipping. I love the color, but how it sunk into my lips and made my lips look all weird, I absolutely hated. So it's not sticky or anything, but it just looks so bad I didn't wear it out. Alright, 2 more products. So the next one is the blush, and the shade on this is really nice. I got more of this was like the least pinky one that they had, and that's what it looks like, but on the skin it obviously doesn't look as pink as that. It looks pretty nice on the skin. It's more of a nude-ish pink, and so I really like how this applies. You don't have to use a lot. You literally just take the brush like that, you dip it in a couple times, and then you rub it around, and it makes it look really nice. So the shade that I got is in Cocoa, and they are retailing for $5.99. They have a bunch of different shades. I think there's like 7 of them, and so you can kind of pick out. This is actually more of the more nude kind of color, and it is called a cheek and lip tint. I didn't use it on my lips. I just used it as a cream blush, and it did really well as that. I don't know how it would work on the lips because I do like to wear regular lipsticks or the matte liquid lipsticks or even like chapstick. I don't really wear blushes on my lips. So for that end, I don't know how it works, but I really do like it as a blush. For a cream blush, it works. It blends out really nicely, and it does stay all day. It doesn't make my face oily, which was what I was worried about since I do have such oily skin. It just makes it matte once you put the powder on, and it looks really nice and stays all day. So I do really like this. It's pretty cheap for a blush, so I would recommend this one as well. Alright, the next item is the Illuminating Shimmer, and it's in Shimmering Sands. It's a highlighter, obviously, and it retails for $7.50, and there are two shades. There's this one and another one, which is darker, which would not work for my skin tone, but I just kind of don't care much for this. Maybe if it was lighter, but even on my skin tone, it just doesn't, it's not as shiny as I was hoping. Like, I did wear it today, but I had to layer it with another highlight to make it look a little bit more popping. This is definitely more of a subtle highlight, and that's not really what I go for. I do like this right under the brow bone, but besides that, I don't really like it. All the packaging on the whole line is really nice. It's not like super heavy, but it's definitely sturdy plastic. It's not like the hollow kind. Like, you can tell the difference in plastics. It's kind of weird. But the whole line is white, and it's really pretty. This highlighter I just didn't really like. I wish they had a little bit more shimmer and a little bit more pop, and that it wasn't so just plain. It just didn't really give enough for me, and it's not worth $8 at that price. Maybe on sale, but I don't really like it. The highlight doesn't really last all day either. It only lasts about for half of the day. That's why it's not as vibrant as it was when I first put it on. So I just wouldn't recommend the highlight at all unless you're going for a really subtle highlight. Each product came in an individual box, which looked like this, and then it is green inside, which I think is really awesome. It gives you kind of like the ingredients and such on the back of here as well. And it's kind of like a rose gold, so these look really nice. I like that it came with a box that looked really nice with it instead of just like plain black or something. I love the green inside. I think it's really cool. Just something small that like really gives the product a little bit more when it's not on the more expensive side. But all this did come with like liners too, but I threw those away because I don't need those. Alright guys, that is it for the end of this video. I bought as much as I thought would interest me. The other two palettes just didn't interest me, that I don't use those kind of shades. And some of the other lip shades and lip glosses or the blushes, I wasn't going to buy every single color. I bought what I thought I would use, and I really enjoyed some of the products that I did get. There were a few flops, like the highlight and some of the brushes and some of the shades that were in here, but overall, I think if you wanted to try out something from this line and you didn't really know what to pick, you would be pretty good with picking anything, because most everything is really good. Even the things that weren't awesome, they still worked really well, and they do last pretty long for on the cheaper end of the spectrum of makeup. I think it's definitely worth your money. There are more expensive things that I've used that are worse than this, and this is not bad by any means. This is actually really good. I love the palette and the eyeshadows in it, but I wish there were more matte shades in this and that there were less shimmers, just because you can't really do much with just shimmers. There were just a few things here and there that could have been a little bit better for me at least, but for other people it probably works really well. So overall, I would say this line is definitely a deal. There are a few flop products which I did mention before, but overall, I do really like this line, and I am glad that I bought everything that I did, except for that lip gloss. I hate that lip gloss. But yeah. Alright, that is the end of this video. If you want to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one.